family, where you just drive by and say, oh, that's a body shop, never noticed it, but I haven't had an accident, so I'm gonna stop in. We've got all three, we subscribe to all three of the major estimating systems so that we can work with any of the insurance companies on whatever platform they're working on. And so we write that. Typically, it says next that we get the repair authorization. Usually, we're going to schedule you and negotiate with your insurance company first. That first negotiation is typically labor rates, those type of things. We have our through-the-door rates. They have theirs that they're pretty set on paying us, and so we negotiate those things. Once we get that negotiated and we've got you scheduled, we're going to order your parts. And this thing says fax. We still fax some parts orders, but typically it's all online now. And we can work with all the dealerships or the aftermarket parts companies, and we can get those parts in. Parts typically take 2 to 3 days to get to the shop, but we do order all those parts prior to you coming in so that once we get your car, we can get it through the process as quick as possible. Usually for us, when the vehicle is dropped, that's when we're getting your repair order signed and your signature authorizing us to do the work on it. We will not touch that car without that signature. We just won't do it. Then the very next thing we do is assign that to a tech. The tech at that point is going to do the initial disassembly of the car. The thing is you might have a plastic bumper cover on your car and it's got a little scratch. Well, we pull that off and you've got an absorber or reinforcement, you've got brackets that mount that to the frame rail, and all of those might be compromised and we can't see that. And so we do a disassembly, and then that technician writes a list of supplemental damage. When it comes to, if you're going to pay for this yourself, we have a pretty good idea of what might be wrong in there, and we're going to tell you right up front during the initial estimate that I actually write two. I write you what I can see, and then I write you the worst case scenario, and I give that to you so that maybe you're going to decide, maybe I'll go through insurance versus paying it myself, or you just say, you know what, okay, I know high and low, and I'm okay. And then we can bring them in at that point in time and show them what's going on. Once we get that supplement report written, at that point, we're back to talking to the insurance company. Now, they all have different ways of wanting to receive that information, and so we send that off however they want it. And that may take some break throughout that afternoon. Some may come out a week from now. And that really puts a logjam into our scheduling process. But that's how we have to do that. And then, once again, we negotiate with the insurance company. I had one that came out yesterday, and we have to pull the headlight. We actually have to put it up on the frame bench, make some pulls, and he says, well, you're just unbolting and bolting that headlight in. I'm not going to pay you to aim the headlight when it's done. And I'm like, if you don't pay it now, you're paying it later, because this car's not leaving without us making sure those headlights are aligned the way they're supposed to be. And so he said, that's fine, I'll come back. I said, do you realize that now your person's going to be in a rental car for 2 or 3 more days as we wait for you to come out? He says, that's okay. It's a process, we have to deal with it. Thank you. We get through that, we get that approved, and there we go. We can order additional parts now. So another 2 to 3 days. Sometimes we can get those quicker than that. And if we feel pretty good about it, we'll order those parts before, well, we're negotiating with the insurance company. But that gives us the opportunity then to get it back into the working system. And the one thing to remember is that I wish it was only your car that was in my shop. But the fact is I have this many people's cars in my shop at one time. I typically have 30 to 40 cars that's rolling through the shop. And for those of you that have been there, I have a body side, I have a paint side, I have a detail side. And so
it's awful.
we try to get that so it's moved slowly. But if we've had to wait a few days, now it's going to go to paint. I got to slip it into what they've got going on. So it's just the nature of our business, and it's how we do it. But it does take some time. So to sit there and say your car is only going to be 3 days in the shop is very difficult. It very well could be, or maybe depending on the process. How we deal with that, when you come in and drop your car off, we have you sign a communication, or fill out a communication sheet that says, this is my primary contact, and best contact is a phone call or a text message or an email. And then you tell me, do I want to be called every single day? Do I want our typical phone calls for updates or Tuesdays and Thursdays? Or I don't care, just call me when my car's done. I mean, it's literally one of the options. And so with that, we try to keep that thing together. Try to keep that process going. And that's the key thing in any of this is communication. And we're not always 100%, but we strive and we will continue because that's the process of how you do it. But that allows you to get it through the system. Typically, we've got it all approved before we actually start that repair. The disassembly is not starting, that's just part of the phase. But then from there, it can pretty much run through the system the way it's supposed to. Usually by the time it's been painted and it comes back to the body tech to be put together, that's when we're making phone calls to say, hey, your car's gonna be ready at 4:30 today. Or we're putting it together, but we have an alignment, or we've got to go put some tires and wheels on it. It's gonna probably be midday tomorrow. And it gives us that idea. So that's just kind of an idea of when will my car be ready. This thing's like 24 different steps here. And that's pretty much every car takes that many steps to figure out what we're doing. So for me, for a good referral for my shop, obviously is anybody that has any kind of damage, but to really narrow it down, we specialize in working with other insurance companies. So if you have somebody, even though they're not a direct repair with us, we can help that customer. And in this state, you have the right to one estimate and go anywhere you want to go. And so if you know of anybody, if you yourself have any damage issues, or if you know of anybody that has an insurance repair, we'd be happy to work with them. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Do you offer payment plans for people who decide to not go the insurance route?
That is one thing we don't do. We did. We have someone that we can give you a card to. It just works outside of our business.
Oh, okay.
Okay.